There comes a point when you stop making excuses and finally decide to become the architect of your destiny. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right this second. You know what holds most people back? It's not lack of talent or bad timing. It's the comfortable lie that someday conditions will magically align. But here's what nobody tells you. That perfect moment you're waiting for doesn't exist. Every hour spent preparing to start is another hour stolen from actual living. How many years will you sacrifice waiting for permission from the universe? The sting of that truth hits hard, doesn't it? You've been postponing transformation, convincing yourself you need one more credential, one more sign, one more guarantee of success. But ancient wisdom teaches us something radical. Change begins the instant you commit to action, regardless of fear or readiness. The Stoics discovered that our power lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering our internal responses. Your thoughts, decisions, and choices, these alone determine your trajectory. If you're prepared to abandon hesitation and construct a meaningful existence, hit that subscribe button now. It's your declaration that purpose and intentional living matter to you. Let's explore the untapped strength already within your grasp. Principle 1. Claim ownership of your existence. We hear it constantly. You're responsible for your journey. But do we internalize this or just nod along? Society conditions us to blame circumstances, unfulfilling careers, painful histories, closed doors. What if the real transformation comes from understanding that your power isn't in changing those conditions, but in choosing your response? Stoic philosophy reveals something profound. Unpredictability defines life, but our reactions remain entirely ours to control. The moment this clicks, everything transforms. When you claim ownership, you reclaim authority. No more waiting for rescue, no more searching for the mythical right time. That's a seductive fiction we've accepted too long. The optimal moment is now. This breath, this heartbeat. Your response to adversity shapes you more than the adversity itself. The Stoics taught that challenges don't define us. Our reactions do. Accepting ownership doesn't mean denying hardship or pretending struggle doesn't exist. It means embracing this truth. You control your approach, your mindset, your actions, and through these, you forge your future path. Rather than waiting for ideal circumstances, ask, what single action can I take immediately to improve my situation? Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Become your own hero. Transformation starts with understanding you're the ultimate architect of your life. You possess the power to begin now, building what you envision. This isn't about perfection, it's about intention. Don't wait for cosmic signals or dramatic shifts in your environment. The signal is here, in how you choose to act, think, and respond to whatever life presents. Remember, you don't need complete answers today. Claiming ownership unfolds gradually, but it starts with one decision. Stop waiting and start living deliberately. You might think, but I've already made mistakes. Haven't I wasted time? Here's the crucial part. Stoics didn't view mistakes as defeats. They saw them as teachers. That matters enormously. No mistake is truly lost if wisdom emerges from it. Own your past not as a prison, but as a classroom. Every misstep, every setback forms part of your narrative, but what matters most is your next move. The question isn't how far you've fallen, it's how quickly you'll rise. Once you claim ownership, you realize something extraordinary. You can pivot at any moment. Don't let failure fear freeze you. Don't let past shame prevent forward motion. Each day offers a chance to rewrite your story. You can begin now. The simple truth? Nobody's coming to save you, and that's the best news possible. You hold the key to change. Claiming ownership also requires confronting uncomfortable truths. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. Are you where you want to be? Do today's choices truly align with who you're becoming? It's tempting to blame others or external factors, but this mindset only creates stagnation. It steals your power. The moment you embrace ownership, you stop making excuses and start taking control. Life doesn't need perfection to move forward. You don't need everything aligned to start, but you must take that first step. Principle 2. Monitor your inner landscape. How often do you actually pause to check in with yourself? If you're like most humans, probably not enough. We race through existence, constantly reacting to emails, traffic, endless demands. But what if breaking this reaction cycle lies in something as powerful yet simple as mindfulness? Mindfulness isn't trendy jargon. It's a practice, a tool helping you become aware of your thoughts, emotions, and actions in ways that transform your experience. We inhabit a world moving at breakneck speed, and often we don't realize we're caught in the whirlwind until exhaustion or burnout hits. Truth is, we're so busy reacting to demands that we forget to reflect. But mindfulness changes everything. It's the practice of noticing, becoming aware of what's happening inside your mind and body without judgment. When did you last truly pause to reflect on what you felt and why? Chances are it's been ages. I understand. Getting swept up in the flow is easy, but that's exactly why mindfulness is crucial. It's the pause button we desperately need. Mindfulness doesn't eliminate frustration, anger, or sadness. It's not about denying feelings or pretending everything's fine when it's not. Rather, mindfulness grants you the ability to observe your emotions without being consumed by them. Instead of automatically reacting to the next stressor, you step back, observe your feelings, and consciously decide how you want to proceed. This breaks the cycle of automatic responses, keeping you trapped in old patterns. It's about creating space between stimulus, the external event, and your reaction. That space, that's where growth happens. Getting trapped in habitual thinking patterns is easy. You wake up, rush through your day, and before you know it, you're reacting to the world without pausing to consider why you're doing what you're doing. But practicing mindfulness helps you notice patterns. Maybe you snap at people more than you'd like, or dread fills you before your day even begins. Mindfulness lets you become aware of these thoughts and feelings, not to judge them, but to understand them. What are these patterns communicating? Why do certain situations trigger specific responses? The more you practice this awareness, the more you break free from unconscious habits and choose different, more intentional responses. This mindfulness practice applies to virtually any life situation. It doesn't have to be reserved for major moments like stressful meetings or traffic jams. It can be as simple as checking in after a difficult conversation or before making an important decision. Think of mindfulness as a constant companion, a tool you carry that helps you make better, more informed decisions daily. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Soon, you'll find that reacting from impulse, frustration, or stress becomes less automatic. Instead, you'll be making thoughtful, deliberate choices aligned with who you want to become. Principle 3. Execute despite uncertainty. One of Stoicism's most powerful lessons is action's importance. Getting caught up in the idea of change is easy. Imagining all the ways your life could be different. You might consume every self-help resource, watch endless motivational content, and plan every step. But here's the harsh truth. Nothing changes until you act. Thinking about change isn't the same as creating it. Postponing is easy, isn't it? You tell yourself, I'll begin tomorrow, or I'll do it once I have more time, or I just need everything perfect first. But guess what? Tomorrow never arrives. You'll always find reasons to delay, to wait for conditions to be just right. The perfect moment is a myth. Action creates momentum. The Stoics taught something essential. Life doesn't wait for perfect moments. In fact, the perfect moment often never materializes. If you want change, you must create it now with whatever resources and time you currently possess. It doesn't have to be massive, but it has to be now. This is where action becomes critical. You don't need all the answers. You don't need everything perfectly aligned. You just need that first step. Maybe it's starting that workout you've contemplated, writing your book's opening line, or making that call you've avoided. Whatever it is, the first step is always hardest. But once you take it, momentum builds. Small actions may seem insignificant initially, but over time they compound into real, lasting transformation. Each step you take accumulates, building confidence and creating momentum that propels you forward. Staying in the planning phase is all too easy, isn't it? We convince ourselves that thinking things through is enough. But here's a hard truth. If we stay in our heads too long, we never move forward. I understand. You want certainty about every step. You want readiness without failure risk. But here's reality. Failure isn't the enemy. Procrastination is. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This simple truth reminds us that action should always align with our values and goals. If you believe in something, if you know it's right, then act on it now. The beauty of action is that it creates clarity. Sometimes we get stuck in analysis paralysis, trying to plan every detail and predict every outcome. But life doesn't work like that. Action is the antidote to confusion. By taking that first step, you begin seeing things more clearly. The road becomes more defined, and fears of making wrong moves slowly fade. It's only through doing that we truly learn what works, what doesn't, and where we need to adjust. Action gives you the feedback needed to keep moving forward. So how do you start? Right now, in this moment. Stop waiting for stars to align or some future clarity moment. What can you do today? Maybe it's as simple as setting a small goal or taking one action that gets the ball rolling. You don't need giant leaps. Just ensure you're moving forward. Every step, however small, is progress. We've all been there, feeling stuck, waiting for the perfect moment. But what if that moment never comes? What if the only moment you need is this one? Don't let perfection's illusion stop you. Perfection is an illusion. Action, however, is real, and it drives progress. Your future is shaped by what you do today, not by what you plan for tomorrow. By embracing action, you align with the Stoic idea that the only thing within your control is your response to the world. You can't control obstacles, challenges, or setbacks that come your way, but you can always control how you act in the face of them. Taking action isn't about waiting for everything to fall into place. It's about making things happen regardless of uncertainty. This is where true transformation begins, not in waiting, but in doing. Principle 4, establish concrete objectives. Without clear objectives, you're like a vessel without a rudder, drifting aimlessly wherever currents take you. You might have good intentions, desire to change, or ambition to succeed, but without a destination in mind, you're bound to circle endlessly. Getting lost in life's hustle is easy, focusing on everything and nothing simultaneously. But if you truly want progress, you need specificity. Vague desires like, "I want better health," or "I want more success," sound appealing but don't give you clear direction. They leave too much room for uncertainty and can easily be pushed aside when life gets busy. Clear, specific objectives are the compass you need to navigate your life. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you're going to work on something, whether it's getting fit, learning a new skill, or improving your career, and then found that life got in the way? Without a clear, actionable objective, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's like saying you want to become a better runner but never committing to a specific distance, time, or routine. You're relying on motivation, and motivation can fade quickly. The key to consistent progress is having objectives that are concrete and measurable. When you set a specific target, you create a path forward. something you can actually track and see progress in. Having clear objectives doesn't just help you track progress, it also builds confidence. Every time you hit an objective, you get a boost, a small win that propels you forward. And that momentum is everything. It's the difference between feeling stuck and feeling like you're making progress. When you set objectives that align with your values, you not only create a roadmap for success, but also reinforce your own sense of purpose. You begin realizing that each small action brings you one step closer to who you want to be. The beauty of clear objectives is that they give you something tangible to focus on. They eliminate uncertainty's overwhelm. Instead of feeling like you're drifting through life, you have a set direction. And while life will always throw challenges your way, having an objective to strive for helps you stay grounded. You know why you're pushing through obstacles. You know what's on the other side, and that knowledge keeps you going even when things get tough. You don't have to wait for the perfect time to set these objectives either. It's easy to think you need to wait for stars to align, but the truth is, the perfect moment may never come. The Stoics understood this well. They taught us that action matters, not waiting for ideal circumstances. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Don't wait for external conditions to be perfect. If you want change, create it now through action. Set your objectives today, no matter how small they seem, and begin moving toward them with purpose. Breaking down big objectives into smaller, more manageable steps is also crucial. Often we think in terms of grand ambitions, but without breaking them down, they can feel overwhelming. When you focus on smaller steps, those steps become milestones you can celebrate along the way. Maybe your big objective is to run a marathon, but instead of fixating on that big finish line, start with the objective of running a mile without stopping. Once you hit that milestone, you build confidence to tackle the next step, and so on. Each step gets you closer to your ultimate objective, and with each victory, no matter how small, you gain motivation to keep going. Setting clear objectives also helps you stay accountable to yourself. When you don't have a clear target, it's easy to let distractions take over and put things off. But when you commit to specific, measurable objectives, you've made a promise to yourself. And that promise matters. Every day you show up and take action toward those objectives, you reinforce belief in yourself and your ability to achieve what you set out to do. And when the inevitable obstacles appear, as they always do, your clear objectives give you motivation to push through. Principle 5. Forge resilience through hardship. Life isn't going to hand you a smooth path. There will be setbacks, failures, and challenges along the way. We all face them, whether it's a difficult decision at work, personal struggles, or moments when everything seems to be falling apart. The question isn't whether challenges will come, but how you respond when they do. It's tempting to avoid adversity, to hope things will just get easier. But the truth is, avoiding challenges only weakens us. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They taught us that obstacles aren't roadblocks. They're opportunities to build strength, resilience, and wisdom. When life throws you a curveball, don't shrink back. Instead, lean into it. Getting caught in a mindset that says, "Why me? This isn't fair," is easy, but that mindset only keeps you stuck. Every challenge you face is a chance to learn more about yourself, to grow in ways you never expected. It's hard, it's uncomfortable, and it often feels like everything is against you. But that's where your growth lies. The Stoics believed that in every difficulty there's an opportunity to practice virtue. They didn't see hardship as something to fear, but something to embrace. Because in that hardship lies the potential for real transformation. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The ability to face adversity and learn from it is what builds your character. Think of the challenges you've faced in the past. At the time, they probably felt overwhelming, but looking back, Don't you see how they shaped you? Maybe you learned something about yourself. Maybe you built new strengths, or maybe you found a resilience you didn't know you had. The more you face adversity head-on, the more capable you become at handling whatever life throws your way. Every time you push through a tough moment, it becomes easier the next time. It's like lifting weights at the gym. The more you lift, the stronger you get. And just like building physical strength, building emotional and mental resilience takes time, but it's so worth the effort. It's not about pretending adversity doesn't hurt or that it doesn't take a toll. It does. But what if you could see every setback as a chance to grow stronger? What if instead of running from challenges, you face them with courage, knowing that each one is part of the process that makes you more resilient? Resilience doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from facing it, from growing through it, and from refusing to be defeated by it. Life will throw its punches, but how you respond will define the kind of person you become. This is the heart of Stoic wisdom, embracing the things you cannot change and learning to change yourself in the process. Resilience is about learning how to bend without breaking. It's about finding your inner strength even in the face of difficulty, but it's also about being patient with yourself. Resilience isn't something you build overnight. It's something you develop over time through the accumulation of experiences, some good, some bad. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to practice resilience. And each time you come through it, you're not just surviving, you're evolving. You're becoming more capable of handling the next challenge, no matter how big or small. Think about how differently you might view obstacles if you started seeing them as stepping stones rather than setbacks. Every obstacle is a chance to prove to yourself that you can handle it. Whether it's a personal loss, a failure at work, or an unexpected twist in your life, you get to choose how you react. That's where your power lies. The more you embrace this mindset, the more you'll begin to see each challenge as part of your growth story. Instead of running from adversity, you'll walk right into it with the understanding that it's a key part of your transformation. The Stoics knew that life would never be free of challenges, and they accepted this truth. But they didn't just accept adversity passively. They saw it as an essential part of the human experience. The more we experience difficulty, the stronger we become. The more we face adversity, the more we learn about our own capacity to grow. And as you face the challenges in your life, remember that your resilience is built not in moments of ease, but in those moments when you choose to rise above difficulty. Your ability to stand strong, to keep going even when things seem impossible, will define the future you create. Principle 6. Concentrate on controllables. In a world that's constantly changing, where there's always something new to worry about, it's easy to feel like you're drowning in chaos. The news is full of negativity. There's uncertainty everywhere, and other people's actions can seem completely out of your hands. It's no surprise we end up feeling overwhelmed. But what if I told you that most of that stress, anxiety, and frustration comes from focusing on things you have no control over? The truth is, most of the things we worry about daily are completely outside our control. The weather, the economy, the behavior of others, none of these are things we can change. Yet we often waste enormous energy trying to fix or change them. But here's where the Stoics offer us a powerful lesson. Focus only on what you can control. The Stoics teach us that we can't control the world around us, but we can always control our response to it. Think about that for a moment. While we can't change the people around us or the circumstances we find ourselves in, we always have a choice in how we respond. And that choice, how we respond to life's challenges, holds the key to reducing stress and regaining a sense of control. It's incredibly freeing when you realize that you don't need to carry the weight of everything you can't change. Instead, you can focus on what's within your power, your own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Whenever you find yourself feeling anxious or stressed, pause for a second and ask yourself, what can I do right now to improve this situation? Most of the time, the answer isn't about fixing the world or other people. It's about shifting your energy and focus to what you can do right now. It could be something as simple as taking a few deep breaths to calm your mind, setting a small, actionable goal for the day, or choosing to let go of something that's out of your hands. By consciously deciding to focus on what you can control, you immediately shift your mindset from a place of helplessness to one of empowerment. This shift in focus isn't just about ignoring what's going wrong around you. It's about recognizing what is within your power and acting on it. For example, when faced with a difficult situation at work or in a personal relationship, you can't control the other person's behavior, but you can control your response. You can choose how you communicate, how you handle stress, and whether or not you let the situation dictate your emotions. This simple change in mindset can dramatically reduce the stress and frustration you feel. Instead of letting external events control your emotions, you start to regain control over your own state of mind. The beauty of this is that it creates space for you to be present in the moment. When we focus on what we can control, we stop dwelling on things that haven't happened yet or things that are beyond our reach. We become more intentional in our actions rather than reacting mindlessly to everything that comes our way. In those moments of stress or anxiety, instead of spiraling, you can pause, refocus, and ask yourself what action you can take in that moment to move forward. This is where the wisdom of Epictetus becomes so relevant. He once said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." The power lies in our ability to choose our reactions. So often we feel victimized by the world around us, as if we have no control over what happens to us. But in truth, the only thing we truly control is how we decide to approach each moment. Every time you face a challenge, you have the power to choose how you want to respond to it. You can choose peace over panic, clarity over confusion, and action over inaction. This principle also helps you to stop getting caught in the cycle of worry. Worrying about things outside of your control does nothing but drain your energy. It's like running in place. It might feel productive at first, but ultimately, you're not getting anywhere. The moment you recognize that worrying about things you can't change is a waste of energy, you can start redirecting that energy toward what you can do. And that's where real progress begins. It's also important to recognize that focusing on what you can control doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties or challenges that come your way. It means choosing how you engage with them. Life is always going to throw curveballs, it's inevitable. But the Stoics remind us that how we face those challenges is entirely up to us. We can either let them overwhelm us, or we can use them as opportunities to grow, learn, and become stronger. When you make this shift, your whole perspective on life begins to change. You stop feeling like everything is against you and start seeing yourself as a participant in the flow of life, where your actions matter. Instead of waiting for perfect conditions or ideal circumstances, you start taking responsibility for your responses. You become proactive rather than reactive, and that's where real power lies. You stop being a passenger in your own life, and instead, you grab the wheel and steer yourself toward the outcomes you want. Principle 7. Build consistency over inspiration. Motivation is a fleeting thing. One moment you're fired up, ready to take on the world, and the next you're struggling to get out of bed. It's like a wave that crashes over you, only to disappear just as quickly. We've all been there, feeling energized one day, only to lose that spark the next. But here's the truth. Motivation isn't the key to long-term success. It's consistency that carries you through the ups and downs. If you rely on motivation alone, you'll always be waiting for the right moment to act. But here's the catch, that perfect moment may never come. So, what do you do instead? You create routines that keep you on track no matter how you feel. Building consistency is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the work day in and day out, no matter how inspired or motivated you feel. Think about it. You don't have to be in the mood to brush your teeth or take a shower. You just do it because it's part of your routine. And that's how you should treat the things that matter most in your life. Whether it's morning journaling, exercise, or meditation, small daily habits will add up over time. The key isn't doing everything perfectly every day. It's about showing up consistently, even when you don't feel like it. Over time, those small actions compound and turn into massive results. This is where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius had a simple but profound piece of advice. Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment to be your best self. It's about taking consistent action every single day to embody the values and habits you want to cultivate. The Stoics didn't wait for motivation or external circumstances to align. They took responsibility for their actions no matter how they felt. And that's the power of consistency. When you focus on showing up each day, even when you're not feeling your best, you build resilience. You start to realize that you can make progress even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. And that's what makes the difference. Motivation can't be relied on because it's inconsistent, but consistency, that's what will carry you through. It's like putting in a little effort every day. Eventually, that effort adds up. Small daily actions, no matter how insignificant they seem at the time, lead to big results over time. You'll look back and realize how far you've come simply because you stuck with it. Consistency is also about being patient with yourself. We live in a world that glorifies instant results, but true success takes time. It's easy to want everything right now, but the reality is that most meaningful change happens gradually. This is where the Stoics really had it figured out. They didn't rush the process. They trusted that consistent, disciplined effort would lead to progress. Instead of being fixated on results, they focused on showing up, doing the work, and letting the results come in their own time. That's the mindset that creates lasting change. The beauty of building consistency is that it becomes a habit, a part of who you are. You don't have to think twice about it. It's no longer about pushing yourself to be motivated. It's about sticking to your routines because they're now part of your daily life. Whether it's writing a page of a book every day or hitting the gym 3 times a week, consistency creates a rhythm in your life. And that rhythm is what keeps you moving forward even when your motivation is low. It's like training a muscle. The more you work at it, the stronger it becomes, and the less effort it takes to keep going. One of the best things about consistency is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't need to be at your best every day. Some days will be better than others, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep showing up. Even if you can't give 100% one day, giving 50 or 75% still counts. The key is to keep moving forward no matter what. Life won't always go according to plan, and you'll face setbacks along the way. But if you focus on showing up and staying consistent, you'll be able to navigate those challenges more easily. Consistency is the foundation that keeps you grounded when life throws curveballs. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every time you stick to your routine, even on the days when it feels tough, you build momentum, and that momentum is what keeps you moving forward. As the Stoics remind us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When you face obstacles, don't let them stop you. Instead, let them fuel your determination to keep going. Consistency isn't about avoiding difficulties. It's about pushing through them, learning from them, and continuing to grow. Principle 8. Practice self-kindness. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? We set out with the best intentions, trying to make progress, to grow, but sometimes we fall short. We make mistakes, we slip up, and sometimes it feels like we're back at square one. In those moments, it's easy to turn on ourselves, to criticize ourselves for not being better, stronger, or more disciplined. But here's the thing: Stoicism doesn't mean beating yourself up when you fall short. It means being kind to yourself, especially when you fail. Embracing self-kindness is not about excusing your mistakes, but about treating yourself with the same compassion and patience you'd offer to a friend. We all know the feeling of messing up. Maybe you missed a goal, broke a habit, or let yourself down in some way. It's easy to fall into self-blame, to spiral into shame and guilt, thinking that you're not good enough. But what if you could stop that cycle? What if instead of punishing yourself for your shortcomings, you could simply acknowledge them, learn from them, and move on? That's where self-kindness comes in. It's about recognizing that you're human, that everyone makes mistakes, and that growth is a journey, not a destination. As Carl Jung wisely said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This is a reminder that your past mistakes don't define you. It's how you respond to them that matters. The truth is, we're often our own worst critics. We wouldn't dream of speaking to a friend the way we speak to ourselves when we mess up. We'd never tell someone we care about that they're a failure just because they made a mistake. But for some reason, we're quick to judge ourselves, to tell ourselves we're not enough. Stoicism teaches us that we should show ourselves the same compassion we'd show a friend in times of struggle. When you slip up or fail, don't let the shame take over. Instead, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Failure isn't the end of the road, it's part of the process. Every misstep is an opportunity to grow, to understand yourself better, and to improve. The key is to approach your mistakes with curiosity, not judgment. What lesson can you take away from this? What's something you can do differently next time? When you embrace self-kindness, you're not excusing your mistakes. You're acknowledging that growth is a messy, imperfect process. The Stoics understood that. They didn't expect perfection, nor did they beat themselves up when things went wrong. They simply accepted life's imperfections and used them as stepping stones. They knew that failure is not defeat, it's feedback, and feedback is essential for growth. Instead of getting caught in shame, ask yourself how you can use your experiences to build a better version of yourself. Every failure, every struggle is a chance to learn more about your strengths, weaknesses, and the areas where you can improve. It's easy to get frustrated with yourself, to feel like you're not making progress or that you're stuck in a cycle of failure. But self-kindness helps you break free from that. It shifts your focus from what you've done wrong to what you can do better. It frees you from the weight of guilt and allows you to move forward with a clearer, more positive mindset. When you treat yourself with kindness, you're more likely to stay motivated, more likely to get back up after a fall. It's not about ignoring your mistakes. It's about giving yourself permission to learn from them without dragging yourself down in the process. We all have moments where we're not at our best. Whether it's letting a bad habit creep back in, not meeting a goal, or simply feeling down, it's okay. What matters is how you treat yourself in those moments. If you can show yourself compassion and patience, you give yourself the grace to grow and improve. You stop fighting against yourself and start working with yourself. The journey of self-improvement is not about achieving perfection. It's about embracing the process with all its ups and downs. Self-kindness doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook. It doesn't mean making excuses or avoiding responsibility. It means recognizing that you're human, that you're doing your best, and that growth takes time. When you fail, don't let shame define you. Instead, use it as fuel to learn and move forward. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep going. Every time you treat yourself with compassion, you reinforce the belief that you are worthy of growth and change. And with each step, you get closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. Principle 9. Cultivate appreciation, daily gratitude. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful tools we have to transform our mindset. Think about it. How often do you focus on what's wrong in your life? It's easy to get caught up in the things we don't have, the things that feel missing or out of reach. But when we spend all our time looking at what's lacking, we miss the abundance that's already around us. In fact, we often overlook the simple things that make our lives richer and more meaningful. The Stoics knew this well. They practiced gratitude as a way to remind themselves of what was going well, even when things weren't perfect. And that practice made all the difference in how they faced life's challenges. Gratitude doesn't just change how you feel, it shifts your entire perspective. It's easy to get bogged down by what's not working, but when you take a moment to reflect on what you do have, everything changes. Maybe it's a supportive friend, a job that challenges you in ways you've never experienced, or even the small joys that seem insignificant but add up to a life full of richness. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right, and that small shift can have a huge impact on your mental and emotional well-being. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And gratitude is the quickest way to elevate the quality of your thoughts. The Stoics weren't blind to life's challenges. They didn't ignore the hard times or pretend that everything was perfect. But they understood that by focusing on gratitude, they could reframe their mindset and see the good even in difficult situations. It wasn't about pretending that bad things didn't happen. It was about acknowledging them without letting them steal your peace of mind. And that's something we can all learn from. It's easy to get caught up in negativity and let it consume us, but gratitude pulls us out of that spiral. It reminds us that no matter how tough things may seem, there is always something to appreciate. Taking time each day to reflect on what you're grateful for doesn't require a big, elaborate ritual. It's as simple as taking a moment before bed or when you wake up in the morning to think about the things that bring you joy. Maybe it's the warmth of your bed, a comforting meal, or the kindness of someone you love. Gratitude doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. It can be the small moments that bring you peace and contentment. And when you make gratitude a habit, it becomes easier to see the good in every situation, even when life is tough. Gratitude reminds you that there are still blessings to be found. In our busy lives, we often forget to pause and appreciate what we have. We're always looking ahead, chasing after the next goal, the next achievement, the next thing that will make us happy. But what if the key to a more fulfilling life was simply looking around and acknowledging what's already good? Gratitude isn't just about being thankful for big things. It's about appreciating the small things that often go unnoticed. A warm cup of coffee, a text message from a friend, the sunshine on your face. These are the moments that make up a rich and meaningful life. And when we take the time to acknowledge them, we start to see life through a different lens. There's another important aspect of gratitude that we often overlook. It's not just about what we receive, but also about how we give. When you practice gratitude, you become more attuned to the needs of others and the ways you can give back. Gratitude isn't just about feeling thankful, it's about expressing that thankfulness by showing up for the people in your life. When you're grateful for the support of a friend, you're more likely to be there for them in return. When you appreciate the beauty of life, you become more inclined to share that beauty with others. Gratitude creates a cycle of positivity that impacts not just you, but everyone around you. So how can you make gratitude a daily practice? It starts with intention. Take a moment each day to stop, breathe, and think about what's going well in your life. It doesn't have to be complicated. Write it down in a journal, say it out loud, or simply reflect on it in silence. The act of pausing and acknowledging what you're grateful for has a profound effect on your mindset. It's easy to get caught up in the rush of life, but when you make time for gratitude, you start to slow down and truly appreciate the present moment. And that shift in perspective is what makes all the difference. When you make gratitude a habit, it becomes second nature. You'll start to notice the good more often, and in doing so, you'll naturally shift your focus from what's wrong to what's right. The Stoics knew this was essential to living a fulfilling life. In fact, they practiced gratitude every day as a way of grounding themselves in the present moment. They didn't just reflect on the big things, they appreciated the small moments that made life meaningful. And this is a practice we can all adopt. As Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Gratitude isn't just about looking outside at what's going right. It's about looking inside and realizing the abundance you already have. Principle 10, exist with purpose and direction. Living with purpose is one of the most powerful ways to ensure you're making progress toward the life you truly want. So often we get swept up in the daily grind, going through the motions, tackling tasks without really considering why we're doing them or where they're leading. We spend so much time just trying to survive the day that we forget to ask ourselves if we're actually building the life we desire. What if instead every action you took was deliberate, rooted in your values, and aligned with the future you want to create? That's what it means to live with purpose, and it's something we can all start doing today. When you live intentionally, you start to approach life differently. Each decision you make becomes a building block toward the person you want to become. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment or for things to magically fall into place. It's about taking ownership of your life and deciding every single day that you're going to make choices that reflect your deepest desires and values. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges or setbacks. Of course you will. But when you live with purpose, you're more equipped to handle those obstacles because you know why you're pushing forward. You're clear about your goals, and that clarity provides the focus and strength you need to keep moving no matter what comes your way. Too often we get distracted by things that don't really matter. We get caught up in activities that fill up time but don't contribute to our long-term objectives. Whether it's mindlessly scrolling through social media, engaging in unnecessary drama, or staying in unhealthy patterns, distractions are everywhere. But here's the truth: every minute you spend on something that doesn't align with your values is a minute you're not investing in your future. To live with purpose, you have to be intentional about where you focus your energy. It's about asking yourself, is this choice moving me closer to my objectives, or is it just filling time? When you start asking yourself that question, you'll quickly see how much time you've been wasting on things that aren't serving your greater vision. Living with purpose doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. You don't need to have a detailed step-by-step plan for every part of your life, but it does mean being clear about what truly matters to you. What are the things that bring you joy? What values do you want to embody? What's the impact you want to have on the world? These are the questions that can guide you as you begin to live with intention. When you know what matters most, your choices become easier. You start to say no to the distractions, the things that don't serve your vision, and you start saying yes to the things that move you forward. Every day you're shaping the future you want. When you take the time to look within, to reflect on your values and desires, you can begin to align your life with what truly matters. Living with purpose requires a deep level of self-awareness. It's not about comparing yourself to others or trying to keep up with the expectations placed on you by society. It's about getting clear on what you want, regardless of what anyone else thinks. The more you look inside, the more your path will come into focus. And when you live in alignment with that vision, every action you take will have meaning and direction. living intentionally also helps you stay grounded. When you're clear on your purpose, it's easier to stay focused, even when life throws challenges your way. Instead of getting caught up in stress, worry, or confusion, you can remind yourself of your objectives and why they matter. When you live with purpose, setbacks feel less like roadblocks and more like lessons. You know where you're going, and nothing can stop you from getting there. It's not about having an easy ride. It's about knowing why you're on the journey in the first place. You don't need to wait for everything to be perfect in order to live with purpose. Sometimes we put off making intentional choices because we think we need to have everything figured out first. But the truth is, purpose isn't about waiting for the stars to align. It's about starting right where you are. Even if you don't have all the answers, you can begin making small, intentional choices today. The more you practice living with purpose, the clearer your path will become. Each choice you make, no matter how small, is a step towards the life you want. In fact, the simple act of living with purpose every day will lead to greater clarity. You'll start to see patterns in your life, understand where you're making progress, and identify areas that need more attention. It's about living with intention in every area: your career, your relationships, your health, your passions. When every part of your life aligns with your values and objectives, you create a sense of wholeness that carries you through even the toughest times. Living with purpose isn't about achieving perfection. It's about consistent, intentional action toward the life you want to build. As you move forward, remember, the life you want is already within your reach. Every choice you make today is shaping the person you'll become tomorrow. So take a deep breath, live with purpose, and trust in the journey. If you enjoyed this exploration of Stoic principles and you're ready to transform your life, please hit that like button. It helps spread this wisdom to others who need it. And remember to subscribe to Stoic Wisdom for more insights on living with intention, strength, and clarity. Together, we're building a community of people committed to growth and meaningful living. Thank you for being part of this journey. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep living with purpose.